Welcome to another fantastic episode of Munster Hunters, the only show that dares to just absolutely ignore new television programming and revisit a 50-year-old sitcom about a Frankenstein monster and his grotesque family. I really would try to find something else to say in there, but couldn't think of anything. My name is Derek, and I am a Munster Hunter. Joining me, as always, is Keith.
Hey, this is Keith, and I am two big middle fingers towards modern day streaming.
Wow.
And the options aplenty that are there for me. I need to go back 50 plus years.
Okay. Which makes you a
Munster Hunter.
There is a format.
You said it.
Yep. Sorry.
And the other voice you hear booming from the geographical center of the United States, the Dr. Dre of Kansas, Terry.
Hello, howdy. It's me, Terry. I'm a Munster Hunter, and it is also my mission to annihilate all other streaming services.
All others, and to promote your own streaming service. What?
Well. No, I'm pretty much against all streaming services. I prefer DVDs, laser discs, cassettes, audio format,
No, I just taken out Peacock. I'm actually cool with the rest of them.
Oh, what's your beef with Peacock?
That they don't just automatically pick the Munsters for me as soon as I turn it on.
Oh, that's true.
Herman Munster is not an option for my icon on there, my avatar.
That's a fair complaint.
Can we talk about that for just 1 minute?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Peacock allows you to have two profiles. Mm-hmm. One main account holder, the other one child account.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You can't personalize it. You can't say this is my account. That's my wife's account. Nope. You just have to share the main, and it's just called main account holder.
Yep. And her stuff that she's watching is messing with your algorithm of options that it gives you.
Yeah. I only want to watch one thing, God damn it.
Yeah.
Munsters.
And she's like, damn it, Derek. Would they quit pitching me 50-year-old TV shows because you're watching these on the account?
I want to watch The Office.
No.
Yeah.
Just a 20-year-old TV show. That's her jam. I rock the Munsters, and I only turn on Peacock for the Munsters. No other reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason I've ever turned it on as well. The one time I tried it, when it was revealed to me that I didn't need to buy a DVD set of this. But yeah, that's
yeah.
And my favorite part of the Peacock getting the commercials are always for other streaming services. I get a Hulu commercial, I get an Apple Plus commercial, and then the occasional Peacock commercial. It's like, hey, we got stuff too.
You know what? I do want to amend my other statement. I want to take out Paramount Plus more than anything.
Oh,
it's their the interactivity on their app is horrible. You select something and it just sits there. And then it pops into what you want to go. It just really does. Maybe it's just the TV that I have that's really crappy with it, but I don't have problems like that on any of the other services that we use. Paramount Plus is just ugh.
Paramount Plus is a real volume issue too, like Hulu.
Oh god. Yeah.
I literally turn it down to 1, the TV, so it's not too loud at night.
Yeah, actually, when I was watching this, and I didn't think it was very loud. I was just watching this just a little bit ago, and my wife texted me from the back of the house. She's like, volume, please.
Turn
Like,
that shit down.
No, she actually
Hey.
wanted me to turn it up so she could hear it. That's what it
Oh.
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Hey,
Probably heard that
yeah.
Is
banging
that the
theme song.
Munsters, man?
Yeah.
Then turn it up.
Mhm. Yeah, she was like, it's pretty loud. And I was like, I mean, it's like on 9, I guess. Okay, I'll lower it some more. But yeah, it was that I don't know. Apparently tonight's episode was very loud compared to other ones.
There's a lot of boisterous things in here. Season 1, episode 8, Herman the Great.
Mhm.
But of course, before we get into season 1, episode 8, Herman the Great, we have to crack the spine on the good book, the Munster Hunters Almanac, for the Munster Hunters Almanac factoid of the week.
Ooh, we got all of it in there. Nice.
Yeah.
So each week I like to bring a little something to the table here based on the research that I can find. And, I don't want to spend too much time because I think we're actually going to have to get into a sub today and not just a skooma suit because there's a lot to go over in Terry's little part. But we constantly talk about Lily's cooking on the show. And
Yes,
I did find a list of
Big breakfast
top
family.
Yeah. Now I did find the top 10 entrees that she makes.
Oh, okay. But I've only seen like one, and it's bacon and oatmeal.
Well, so that's the other thing. I was like, okay, there's a lot of things. They must just go crazy after a while.
They have to.
Yeah. So we'll get to see chopped lizard livers.
Oh, they get into the weird.
Okay, that makes
cold
sense.
rhinoceros tongue sandwiches.
Nice.
Filet of dragon, which apparently is a Chinese food.
Oh, that sounds so bad.
Eggs, gloomy side up, which we've heard
we've gotten
that one. Cream of vulture soup,
Nice.
which apparently is Herman's favorite.
Would be mine as well.
Yeah. Curried lizard casserole.
Well, that actually sounds good.
That does sound bad. Or good. Yeah, not bad.
Rolled hyena foot roast. Bird's nest stew, which is Grandpa's favorite.
Yeah,
Bird's nest
from the old
soup.
country, probably.
They put
Probably.
just, like,
Yeah, that
twigs in
sounds
there?
like, I don't know. But that sounds like old country to me.
Yeah.
Old
warm
country
lady.
buffet.
Yeah, that's where it's from. That's what you meant when you said old country, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Warm lady fingers with pickled frog ears.
No, so they're just
Sure.
eating people at some point.
Dodo bird roast.
Okay.
Now, again, we've seen her make oatmeal constantly.
Yes.
Oatmeal's not mentioned here in these top 10 entrees.
That one episode, they cooked a ham, right? And then when Grandpa fucked up the electricity, it like went bonkers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Cream of buzzard soup, an iguana soup, a salamander salad with centipede dressing, a salad with cactus juice dressing, freshly squeezed.
Sounds normal.
And the beverages, a Bloody Mary, obviously, piping hot bat milk in the evening, and of course, Grandpa's favorite recipe, or a recipe from a friend of Grandpa's, devil's food cake.
Oh, yes. That was.
I mean, just straight up there. So
We've already talked about that one.
Yeah. So we've, we constantly were seeing her cooking all the time. She makes a lot of pancakes too, and that's not mentioned.
Yeah.
And so I figure I would just mention a couple quick things in our Munster Hunter Almanac factoid of the week.
That was a bit of an appetizer, Keith, of things to come in future episodes.
It was. Way to nice play of the thing there. Yeah.
Keith, like if someone was listening to that and didn't make the connection, you don't have to point that one out.
Look, it is late in my day today. I was awoken at like 6:30 in the morning to a scream,
Squall?
very loud scream. Apparently, there was a cricket in the bathroom, so my son was in there taking a poop, and all of a sudden, a cricket came bouncing out at him,
Keith.
and he scremed like he had just found a dead body.
This is a shameful story for everyone involved.
Look,
Well, the most shameful I guess would be the fact that like my wife hopped up and went and looked at it. I just laid in bed and
Oh.
I'm done once, actually.
Yeah. But like you would have thought like like he saw one of those like spiders, like you see pictures of from Australia, just those giant ones. You would have thought he saw that, not a cricket.
Not a Georgia-sized Kentucky cricket.
I mean,
cricket. I don't know why I said Kentucky. I wanted to say a Kentucky-sized cricket earlier, but
they're known for their
whatever.
crickets.
Yeah.
In what reference was Kentucky-sized cricket, or was that just early in this conversation?
Well, because you said Australia-sized.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Spider. I was like, oh, it's a Kentucky-sized cricket, but you guys are in Georgia, and then my brain got all screwed up.
Anyway, so I couldn't get back to sleep. It's been a long day, and so maybe not everyone caught your nice.
No, everyone caught it.
Hey, don't we have something else to do now?
Yeah, I'm gonna fly up Man, I am having a tough time talking. I'm gonna fire up a flare into the sky to illuminate the water below us because it's dark.
Makes sense.
And we're gonna put on our scuba suits and dive deep. Keith said a submarine. I think one of those
we might need submarines today.
What about one of those little self-propelled or like the little things you hold on to that like manta rays almost?
Yeah.
Actually, I thought you were gonna say a diving bell.
Oh, yeah, let's all send the diving bell and with our scuba gear just in case the diving bell cracks or overturns or something.
I assume a diving bell fits more in with like a Munster type thing. They would be in a diving bell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those old timey.
There's no fun acronym for diving bell.
There's not. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we put on the scuba suits and we take a deep dive with Terry.
Yep, we're doing Herman the Great. It was directed by Earl No Strain Bellamy. We talked about him last week.
No Strain, back on it.
Yep, he's returned. He did the last episode, Tin Can Man, which I think we all actually liked a decent amount.
I think that was my favorite of all the Munster episodes so far.
Yeah, so I was happy to see him back. And he's the guy, he's very known for directing TV. He apparently did over 1,600 episodes. And he was actually kind of a Western guy. A lot of the movies that he did were Westerns. And he directed 7 Westerns total. So good for him. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was written by Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher.
Who? These names are foreign to me.
They might sound a little familiar.
Mm-hmm.
They did the Munster Masquerade and Rockabye Munster, 2 episodes we've covered already. And they recur quite a bit. They wrote 20 episodes each, and they're both credited on the same episode, so I think they're kind of a team as well. And even like on stuff that's not the Munsters, I noticed that they were both credited on like the exact same stuff. So I think they're just a dynamic duo, which good for them. They created Leave It to Beaver together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we got some guest stars in here. We got John Hubbard as Duke Ramsey. We got Joseph Mell as Mr. Hansen. We have a bunch of wrestlers in this, and I was kind of hoping they were going to be like actual wrestler cameos or something like that.
They are.
Were they? I noticed one of them was, or like an actual like martial arts guy, but.
So they on this one thing I saw, it said that this episode has one of the largest guest star casts of the entire series.
Yeah, which is weird because once again I look at online they list out the guest stars and I saw a few. I look at my highly accurate Munsters DVD set and it lists no names at all, when usually it will. So I kind of took it into my own hands and kind of just picked a few. But if you've got any extra info, Keith, you can jump in. But
sure.
I did notice that Tarzan McGurk was played by Gene LaBelle, and he was like the closest thing I could find to like a big martial arts guy. He was apparently known as the godfather of grappling, and he was an ex-world champion in wrestling and judo. And he's a really big stuntman in Hollywood. He had 250 credits for stunts, going from 1962 to 2012. And he did a lot of action movies in the 80s. And he actually acted quite a bit. He had 156 acting credits as well, probably just playing smaller parts for the most part, in action scenes. But he actually served as inspiration for Brad Pitt's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, there you go.
And He also did a lot of martial arts teaching, and but he retired in 2018. I believe he's still alive, which is pretty impressive.
Way to go.
He was the stunt coordinator for a movie known as Out for Justice, which stars Steven Seagal.
Yes, it does.
That is a classic.
So I don't know if you guys have heard like that story about Steven Seagal, where he claimed that he was unchokeable because of his Aikido training.
I never heard this, but it sounds good.
Well, Gene decided to challenge him on this claim.
Oh, he choked him out, didn't he?
Yeah, he choked Seagal out, who he ended up passing out, and apparently losing control of his bowels as well. I was just gonna say, this is all allegedly, by the way.
No, I guarantee that man loses control of his bowels at least once a day.
He denies it, of course, Seagal, but
Well, yeah. No way a man would own up to that.
Yeah.
I shit myself.
No, he denies being choked out. Not the.
Oh, yeah.
No, the other party's still down with.
But there's a couple people who have stated, yeah, this was real. Gene himself has kind of avoided answering the question, but he kind of points out that there are like 30 people watching this happen, so they should just go ask those people. Seems like it probably happened, but allegedly, Seagal was choked out.
He probably had to sign something. Seagal probably paid him like a couple $1 million and had him sign something to never talk about it. That's why he's always like, well, I don't know.
You're probably right. Yeah. Seagal, he takes himself very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have John Hubbard. He played Duke Ramsey. He had 150 acting credits to his name. He went from 1937 to 1980, and he was in a lot of movies throughout the 30s and 40s. But he kind of transitioned to TV in the 50s. He enlisted in World War II, and then when he came back, he started doing more TV. His biggest recurring role was on the Mickey Rooney Show as Mr. Brown for 25 episodes. And a movie that stood out to me that he was actually in was called The Satan Bug. Have you heard of this?
Sounds great, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a great name. But he didn't have a huge role. He was just an uncredited guard. But with the name like that, how could I not look it up? And I was kind of hoping it was going to be about like a giant insect or some sort of, creepy crawly thing. But no, it's just about some horrible disease germ thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets stolen from a lab. Yeah, and they try to find it. There's no giant monster bugs from hell or whatever. Just a germ from hell, I guess. But that was kind of interesting. Then we had Joseph Mell. He had 201 acting credits that went from 1951 to 1977. He's kind of done a whole lot of like one-off roles on TV. Some of the ones I recognize were like The Monkees, Star Trek, Bewitched. He was in The Red Skeleton Hour, which
Again,
is not about
It's a rite of passage, I think, on the Munsters.
Yeah, I've seen that show pop up a lot in these people's credits, which is interesting. It was a big deal, I think, that show. He'd been in a few films too, and one that I kind of caught my eye was called Lord Love a Duck. It's a weird movie. I don't really know what it is. It was described as a satire of like teenage culture in the 60s. And the trailer is really
that's what the
bizarre.
title screams that too. Teenage satire. Lord Love a Duck.
It's got its own theme song in the trailer, and they're just singing about how Lord Love a Duck. It's actually a pretty cool song, but it's a really weird trailer. It's got like montages of footage like you'd expect, but every few seconds it kind of does a freeze frame, and then the narrator will say something really weird. And I've written a few of his quotes that he says.
Oh,
about
I'm
this
excited
movie.
now.
All right. So yeah, a few seconds of trailer, you're kind of jamming the song, all of a sudden it's like it stops and it goes, "This motion picture is a non-optimistic get well card." It's like, okay. And then it just kicks in again, the footage starts going.
Love a duck.
Yeah. Then it stops. Planet Earth is a lunatic asylum of the galaxy.
Lord Love a Duck.
Lord Love a Duck is about a guy who goes stark, raving, sane, and commits mass murder. It's a comedy.
Lord Love a Duck.
Those were a few of the things he says in that I just thought was the weirdest. Maybe that's
Lord
how
Love a
trailers
Duck
work.
only in theaters this June.
Yeah, very intriguing. But I don't know. Maybe that was the trailer style back then. It just seemed like madness to me. I think the movie is trying to say it's about madness at times. So I don't know. Seemed very weird. But hey,
Evil
theme song, pretty
chaos.
good. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I wrote down. Those were like the big characters in this, I thought. But Keith, did you have like other people you
Keith,
noticed?
list off the wrestlers. I know you're
Yeah.
itching. You are itching.
All right, so a lot of these guys on here. So there's a guy named Count Billy Varga.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one earlier I said was born in 1919.
He's dead.
He was the NWA Hawaii Heavyweight Champion. He was also part of the Hawaii Tag Team Champions with Sam Steamboat. And he was also the NWA Hollywood Wrestling Tag Team Champion 3 times.
Nice.
With, 2 times with Hardy Crustcamp and 1 time with Mario Don't
matter.
Yeah. Tiger Joe Marsh. He was a wrestler and a film actor. Tiger Joe Marsh, he not only did a lot of wrestling, but he is known for being an actor because he was in On the Waterfront and also Panic in the Streets.
Classic.
Yeah, and so he was in there. We have Jay York.
Mm-hmm.
He was a professional wrestler. He was also known for being in the new Mike Hammer. He was in a Quantum Leap episode. He's in a bunch of other stuff there. He was a professional wrestler. And then there's a guy called the Great John L.
Mm-hmm.
On IMDb, it lists stuff that he was in. And then at the end, trivia, it says was a professional wrestler. But he was in the 1977 Island of Dr. Moreau.
No.
And there is something here on him that I have to look it up exactly. But the Great John L's Challenge.
It's a 100-man race around the world.
Sure. No,
Okay.
actually, I think there's like a music thing. I think there's a song called "The Ballad of the Great John L."
Mm-hmm.
The world's greatest wrestler, Sherry Lawson, sings that song. And then also this guy Teddy Eccles. He wasn't a wrestler, but he's listed on here. He was in. He's the one who plays Wilbur.
Oh, the kid, yeah.
Yeah, apparently this is the only episode that Wilbur shows up in also.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed that he plays Dorno on the Herculoids.
Oh, that's the animated show, right?
Yeah.
What's
Hanna-Barbera?
Dorno?
I think that's the kid.
You don't even know.
Hold on, no. Yeah, Dorno is he's the son of Xandor
Dorn.
and Terra.
Mm.
I'm gonna
Okay.
name my kid Dorn.
Despite being their son, he still refers them by their first names rather than mother and father.
Sure. Who would?
And that's changed when they revived the show in the 80s. Interesting.
Huh.
But yeah, so those are a lot of the extra people. So yeah, they used a lot of actual wrestlers.
That's good. I was kind of hoping they were.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you what. Wrestlers need the work.
yeah. Well, especially because they very much called out that this is like one of the biggest guest casts. Because usually we only get like 1 or 2 of like anything special about them.
Well, we'll find out why there's so
Yeah.
many soon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's like a lot of big wrestler transitioning to actors like back then?
No,
We get that sometimes nowadays.
like The Rock and John Cena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From what I could see, like most of these guys that on this list, they did transition over to do stuff, but none of them are really like not anything to like the Rock or Cena type
Mhm.
level.
Not like stars.
Yeah, no, they all just bit parts and stuff like that for
Gotcha.
overall. Yeah.
Like fun little cameos or playing the tough guy kind of
Yeah,
thing.
showing up on the Munsters, things like that.
Yeah.
Are we coming up for air?
Yeah, let's take
Let's
our time. We
ascend
don't
from
wanna
the
let
depths and get the Munster bins.
Exactly.
That was Skooma for season 1, episode 8, Herman the Great. Now, when I read this description on IMDb, I was stoked.
Oh, same. This is a
Herman
great
becomes
setup.
a wrestler in order to gain some extra money for Eddie's future education. To me, I was prepared for the pinnacle of Munsterism. But then I was like, man, it only gets a 7.6 on IMDb. What
Not even close to 10 out of 10.
What is the disconnect? Because to me, it feels like premise solid. This is
Yes.
primo premise.
Oh yeah. This is such a great idea. It's not like, it feels like this feels like something that would come down like later when they started running out of ideas,
Mhm.
but it's still like a pretty cool like gimmick, I guess. Yeah. Herman, he's
Yeah.
a tough guy. Sure, he should go fight people for money. That's fun.
Yep. Like, how could you not want to use his size for benefit? Anyway, it gets 7.6 on IMDb. So I'm like, well, fire it up. And it starts with Herman talking to Eddie and his friend Wilbur. Never seen Wilbur before, and apparently we'll never see him again. And Herman's
at first I thought that was that other kid who was there for when they had the Frankenstein, the little robot.
No,
Frankenstein
that little kid
toy.
was weird looking.
Yeah.
He looked like a little rat boy.
I thought it was him too, but no. Yeah, I guess he's not coming.
This kid, I was like, he's new. I don't even know what his name is. And he's like, I'm going to show you something special. And Herman reaches up and he pulls this like steel bar from somewhere. No clue. Like he's ripping out the foundational construction of his house. Don't know.
I thought it was like a fire poker or something, maybe.
But it was huge. Like
Yeah,
it was
really
like
big.
a piece of rebar or something. And he bends it into a pretzel and it's quite heavy.
Oh, is
And
that
he's
what that
doing
was
it-
supposed to be?
What?
A pretzel? Because I was very disappointed that he didn't like shape it into like a balloon animal type, like dog or
Well,
something.
I mean, it wasn't like a Bavarian pretzel, but I mean, it was twisted up. Like if you twist something up into knots, it's like a pretzel, right?
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I really thought that when they finally showed it at the end, it was going to look like a balloon animal, like
Sure.
dog or something like that.
Well, I think they had to find a shape that they could easily bend a metal stick into because they converted it to a metal. So anyway, Herbert reaches up, pulls out a pretzel rod looking piece of metal, and then, and then he bends it up, and Eddie's really excited, and he gives it to Wilbur and with the kid, and he goes, "Gee, thanks, Mr. Munster." And well, he goes, I think Herman's called him Wilbur. It doesn't matter. He gives him this thing, and it's clearly heavy. And then he says, "Well, Eddie, I can't sit around here tying knots all day. The car has a flat, and I promised Grandpa I'd hold it up while he changed the tire." So we have to establish Herman, fiendishly strong, outrageously strong.
Yep. Strong enough to bend steel with his bare hands.
Yeah, and lift up a car.
Yeah, that's
Makes it
another
seem
level.
like the time you lift up the sofa to offer someone a seat.
Trivial.
Like that's just, it's nothing.
That's
Yeah,
another-
Herman could have thrown that sofa through to the sun, for all I know.
He's got boundless strength as far as
Yes.
I'm concerned.
So Herman leaves, and Wilbur's like, "Boy, Eddie,
Strength
you
of
got
several men, probably. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know why he's got the strength of several men? Maybe we'll find
We'll
out.
get to that later because I'm sure there'll be an opportunity to point it out. Anyway, Eddie's like, "You got the neatest father in the whole neighborhood." And guess what, guys? Wilbur's dad, he's a wrestling promoter. And so we cut to Wilbur's dad on the phone, and he's got this knotted iron in front of him. And it's heavy. You can see he picks it up. It's got like weight and heft to it because it like shakes the table a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Jerry, look, if we can sign up this Herman Munster, we'll have the greatest gimmick in wrestling since the Swedish Angel."
Would you like to know?
Yes.
What's a Swedish Angel?
Yeah. Okay. So, the Swedish Angel, he was a former pro wrestler back in the day. He actually won the MWA. I'm assuming that's Midwest Wrestling Association, Kansas World Heavyweight title when he defeated Orville Brown on December 3rd, 1943.
And Orville Redenbacher.
He then lost it on December 9th, 1943.
Oh, Redenbacher came back.
He later became a wrestling promoter as well, but he apparently suffered from a disease known as acromegaly, Acromegaly. Same thing that Andre the Giant and this other guy named Maurice Tillet, who was the French Angel. So he had the same thing. So he's a giant of a man.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I found out there's another guy. First, the Swedish Angel's name was Niles Philip Olofsson. He died at 67. He's one of the tallest competitors during the heyday of wrestling after World War II. Now, when you type in Swedish Angel, though, you don't get him. You get this other guy, Tor Johnson, aka the Super Swedish Angel.
The Super Angel. Okay.
Yeah. And he was 6'3", I guess 440 pounds at his largest weight.
Wow. That's
And so in addition to being a wrestler, though, he eventually did a whole lot of work with Ed Wood,
Nice.
including being in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yep.
big. Oh, cool.
He played
Or-
Inspector.
Yep.
Inspector Daniel Clay. But he's the main guy that shows up, and he used Super Swedish Angel because of the fact that there was this other guy. However, he was not the same, like he didn't have that same like issue where he was just outgrowing himself
No.
like Andre or this the original Swedish Angel did. But again, the Munsters like to actually reference real things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's great. When every single time they do it, I like every time they reference something like that, I pause and I have to go look up. And
I know you
do
do. And there's
some
a
double checking.
handful of them in this episode, so I'm sure you're looking them all
yeah,
up.
When is the Super The Rock gonna come out?
Just a second form of The Rock.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's
He's
more
able to
famous
lift both
alter ego.
eyebrows at once.
Yeah, yeah.
So Wilbur's dad, we don't know his name, on the phone saying he ties knots and steals and lifts automobiles off the ground. I haven't seen him yet, but believe me, when he climbs in the ring, he'll have people falling in the aisles.
Yeah.
Which you're like, oh, if only he knew we were a Frankenstein's monster. And then the banger drops in.
Yep.
And then, do we have any insights on the song this week?
No insights on the song. Sorry.
Okay,
Except
it
for
still
that,
rocks.
Great. Yeah.
Yep.
10 out of 10.
Anyway, so we come back from the banger, and Lily is making tea. It's a smoky brew, and Grandpa is drinking tea. And Lily says, "Oh, this Chinese tea always acts up when we put it in the Russian words. I don't know, samovar. I don't know what that
Yeah.
is.
I assumed it was like a teapot of some sort. I had no idea.
That's why I
Yeah.
thought so too.
I rewind to try to hear it, and I could, I don't know what she said at all.
Yeah. But they're not in the breakfast nook. They're the kitchen. They're in the living room because Herman's on the couch and he's reading like a magazine. And then they talk about the dinner. Boy, they're really obsessed with food. He's like, "Nice dinner you served." And Grandpa said the soup was delicious, but the croutons kept creeping out of the bowl. This provides nothing to the show other than filling 20 seconds.
This goes on for a while. This does.
Are they
kind
eating
of feel
French
like-
onion soup? Because that's the only one I can think of that where you would have the
Put
croutons on
croutons in
top.
Don't know. All I know is the croutons crawled out and Lily's like, "Well, they always come back."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Whoa, hilarious. No one cares." But Herman's
Well,
reading
then
an article about how parents that want to send their kids to college don't have the money when the time comes, like 35%. So now he's really concerned because he wants to send Eddie to college. And Lily says Eddie won't be going to college for a long time. And Herman's like, "Well, we need to start now. The magazine says start saving a little every year." Grandpa, "Well, back in the old country, we used to bury a little something in the backyard for a rainy day," assuming dead bodies.
A corpse?
What-
Yeah, I was
whatever,
confused.
right? And they do this. You know why they have to say this? Because Grandpa's a vampire in the old country.
Mhm.
And you hadn't heard it yet, but in case you're a first time viewer, you're like, "Who is that man?" This clears it up.
Oh. Yeah. He likes dead things in his
Yeah.
backyard, and they're entertaining. When it's time to liven things up, you go to the back and dig it up.
Now, Herman then thinks Eddie should go to college. And here I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be awesome." Because he's like, because I was a college man. And so I'm picturing Herman in like the sweater with the horizontal stripes, like red and white, and holding a pennant, going to college, or like playing football. He's got the leather helmet on or something.
Yeah. I would love that.
So he says, "College man." And Lily's like, "How long were you at Heidelberg University?" And he says, "I was in their medical school for 6 years. Pause. In several jars." And you know why he would be in several jars?
Because he's a
Because he's a Frankenstein's
monster.
monster, right?
That's why.
Like, so
right,
all
yeah.
of his parts are in jars.
That one kind of feels a little on the nose to me. He kind of like really in jars. They couldn't have come with something like a little bit better. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah. I'll be honest. I enjoy the idea of like seeing a future where Eddie's at a school and then he's struggling, but like Herman decides to go back to college as well, and then
It's like the Rodney Dangerfield movie.
yeah, and then we could see Herman do the triple Lindy. That's what's going through my mind at that point.
Yeah, that would be great. But we're not there yet.
Also, he's whatever he's reading, like he just throws it out there, like it's not any part of anything else going on. He's just like, I'm reading this magazine.
So you could tell that they had ideas for shows, but they're like, we don't know how to start the show. Like,
Yeah.
where do we start this idea? And they're always reading something, the newspaper, a magazine. It's like they have to get an idea from somewhere else. They're watching the TV.
Yep.
It's always something else. Nothing internal. It's always some sort of external force.
Maybe instead of that cold open, they should just come on and say, like, hey, you're watching a Frankenstein monster and his horribly gross family. Get ready. And then they go right into the banger. That's what they should do.
Yeah, maybe they don't. Yeah, it's always a struggle to get going. So Herman says, yeah, I was in jars. And Grandpa says, yes, Lily, your husband was a man of parts because he was a Frankenstein monster. God damn it.
You could have left that one out, I think.
Herman is determined to send Eddie to college, even if he has to borrow money, which I guess back then what seemed like the most drastic of measures. But
is
now,
that not normal? Yeah.
if you're not drowning in college debt, then you're not a human.
Also,
that's the true horror.
Is there some thought that Eddie wasn't going to be able to go to college? Like he's
10.
What? He's 10. So like he's got plenty of time to it sounded like almost like they weren't sure he'd be college material.
He was failing science last episode, but that's because I don't know why. He was just scared. Why was he failing again? Was it just because he was not paying attention or something?
He was too busy working on his robot.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. That's right. And then he didn't want to tell Herman, sir, because he was too embarrassed, sir. So Grandpa now displays another power, precognition, because he tells Herman the phone's about to ring. And then it does. So Herman gets up and answers it, and the coffin phone, still cool. Yep. And guess what? Conveniently, so Herman is speaking about how they need to save money. Conveniently, the phone rings. It's Mr. Ramsey, Wilbur's father, the wrestling promoter, saying he has a proposition. And Lily hears proposition. Boy, I hope it's not a salesman selling cemetery plots. We have enough trouble paying payments on this place. Can't even think of a resort property.
Yeah, how much rent would he have to scare up if he had to get a resort as well?
Yes, in a cemetery. So Herman can definitely use the extra $200 or $300 a week, which is a ton of money given the time.
That seems like a pretty good deal. I'd be a wrestler for that now, I think.
If $130 electric bill or whatever it was equivalent to $700, this is like $2,000-$3,000 of extra a week. It's $150,000 a year to be a wrestler.
That's a steal, yeah. And they
One
didn't even
match
ask
a week.
Herman to show his skills or anything. No tryouts needed, I guess. He just
And Herman's like, man, I can use that money, but what will my friends and family think? He's way too embarrassed to be a wrestler. Ramsey's like, whoa, you worried about that? We'll put a hood on your head. We'll call you the Masked Marvel. Masked. The masked part will be in quotes. You'll be a Marvel, but you'll be masked, which doesn't need to be in quotes because he's literally in a mask, right? So you don't need the quotes unmasked. Marvel, quotes, masked, literal.
Yes.
By the way, just to look at the math on here again, in 1964, $200 now would be $1,800.
Yeah.
If it was a big thing where he was going to make $300, it'd be like $2,700.
Yeah.
Based on inflation going on. That's insane.
Yeah. Once a week, $2,700 to wrestle.
Yeah.
And Herman's down because why wouldn't he be? I'd be down too.
I'll do it. Yeah.
And especially if no one could see your face.
Anybody listening out there? We're all available for wrestling.
I'll go do what Herman did for $3,000. So Herman asks for a few days to get in shape. And then he hangs up, and we cut to Ramsey, and he wonders aloud. He ties knots and steel bars and needs to get in shape? What?
Still, he's still sight unseen at this point in time. He's yet to see this person, and he signed him for big money already, and is still amazed at this whole thing.
I'm sure the kid described him. What's he look like? He's real tall. It looks like a monster.
Red eyes. Yeah.
Hairy ass hands and a flat head. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's either a Neanderthal or a Frankenstein's monster. Either one, perfect for wrestling.
If you're not paying attention, you'll think he's got a dog with him because the hands are so hairy.
If I had to pick any monster to be a wrestler, Frankenstein's monster probably on one of the top of the list.
Yeah, Wolfman number 2.
That's a good.
By the way, I will say between this and that other one where Eddie's got a friend over, kids are the best. No kid has been scared yet of Herman and run out of the place. The adults, they're high speed up the camera running. Kids are just like, man, like this Wilbur says he's like, your dad's the best dad in the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
Eddie almost gives him at that time, he even gives him a look like, yeah, I guess. Like, you know, he's unimpressed because he does this all the time.
Yeah.
You got the neatest dad, I guess.
Herman's good with kids. Good for him. Yeah, they like him.
So now we cut to the family, and Herman's like, our problems are solved. Now, in my mind, he's told the family what's going on right here. And they're like, yes. So he's lifting up Eddie, and he says, when you get older, you go to college. And Lily says he can grow up to be half the man his father is. And he'd be daddy's big, smart, successful son. And Eddie goes, oh, boy. And then Herman throws Eddie through the ceiling, just straight up through the ceiling. Shit comes falling from the sky. Everyone looks up. He's clearly throwing him very high. Or there's like an anti-gravity level or something. I do not know. Because it takes a minute for Eddie to come down. And then when he does, he catches Eddie. And Eddie goes, do it again.
I mean, maybe it took a little while because he threw Eddie to the side. Like you could see the angle that he was going. And then Eddie had to run around to another area and jump so he could land straight back down in his arms.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think this happens quite a bit if I remember, like, from when I was young and would watch these just randomly as on episodes in syndication, is that Herman throwing Eddie like up into the ceiling happens quite often.
Maybe. And then episode 8 is the first occurrence of
it.
For all you trivia nerds out there, what episode is the first one where Herman throws Eddie through the ceiling? Episode 8.
It's 8. Yeah. Can't confirm.
So at this point, in my mind, Herman has explained the scheme to everyone. I'm going to go wrestle. I'm going to make a shit ton of money. We're cool.
Yeah.
So now we cut to Lily, Grandpa, and Marilyn at the breakfast table, and everything is shaking. Because Herman's down in the lab pounding on something. Who knows? This could be the episode the babysitter breaks from some previous thing, because Herman could be messing with little Herman.
Something.
I don't know what he's up to. It's shaking the house, though. And Marilyn's like, oh, I wish Herman would tell us what's up to. Lily says he's down there for 3 days. And Grandpa says he can't even go down. Says he's training for his new job. And no one knows what the job is. So Herman says, problem solved. And no one says, how? So
why make a big deal of it if you're not going to tell them anything? Maybe keep it
I'm going to make all this money. Doing what? Working at night. Doing what? I can't tell.
Yeah.
That
seems suspicious.
If you see me on a street corner, don't worry about it.
Such a weird way to go about this.
Yeah. Herman Munster gigolo.
Doesn't Grandpa say something? I can only think of one like profession that's good at night. Decent
I wonder
work.
what he meant by night work. Grandpa says there's only one sort of decent night work, and I haven't done it since I left the old country.
Now, I assume he means vampire, but...
Grandpa Munster was a gigolo at one time as well. There we go.
He says, oh, for the good old days on the graveyard shift. And then everything keeps shaking.
Yep.
And you're like...
Okay, so in a lot of episodes previously, we always get to... And we very much hammer home because he's a Frankenstein's monster. There are a lot of times in this episode, like so far, and I mean, we're only a small part of this, where it's very much... because Grandpa's a vampire from the old country. Like they really are like trying to make sure that we understand that a lot in this episode.
But you know what's weird is like there's nothing that clearly says vampire. He just likes dead things buried. Right? So it could be a necrophiliac because Grandpa's a necrophiliac. We don't know.
Specific. Yeah, there's not like a blood reference or anything.
Yeah. Nope. So I guess when they did they brought the Munsters again back in like the 80s or whatever it was.
Grandpa was a necrophiliac?
No, he's actually Dracula.
Oh, the granddaddy of all vampires.
They actually they connect his name and everything in the show, I guess, when they did their like Munsters 2.0 or whatever it was.
Oh. Well, they did call him the Count a couple episodes ago.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess they actually do list him as Vlad, whatever.
The Impaler.
Mm-hmm.
So then we cut to and see Herman. He's training in the basement and he's punching a heavy bag and he's got training clothes on and he gives it a punch and sends it flying. Then he turns around and he's got Transylvania Olympic Team 1841 on his back.
All right, so I Googled this.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually, and I was like, oh, because that's the first thing that shows up. You type in Transylvania Olympic Team and it autofills to 1941. 1841, sorry. Which then I found this thing where it talks, it's a general discussion board that I'm going to have to check out more often for the almanac. It says flaws in Herman the Great episode. So I'm assuming they have like a flaw section for all these.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Your fingers will get tired.
Oh, yeah.
From typing all the flaws.
It says in the episode Herman the Great, Herman's working on preparing for wrestling, Transylvania Olympic Team 1841. There are many flaws in this. Even if Herman was a real person, he wasn't created until 1850. Somebody then says, no, he was created in the 1810s. The first modern Olympics didn't occur until 1896. Even if Herman was created earlier, the modern Olympics had started earlier. He would have never been, there would have never been Olympics during an odd year. Mm. And Transylvania at the time is actually a region of Romania, not like its own thing.
No.
Dang.
And I thought there was going to be something cooler to that. And I was actually a little disappointed. It was just like, oh, that wasn't even like a thing like that could have actually happened. I thought like there's some like crazy event happened at the 1841 Olympics.
That's what I thought too.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. I thought maybe like they could have put like a cool date, like just the Easter egg there, like maybe like the date that Frankenstein the book got written or something like that. Mm-hmm. I thought it was something like that, but no, as far as I could tell, that date had like no significance whatsoever.
Yeah, there you go.
Besides just that,
I hope somebody got fired for this gaffe.
Yeah, but especially when like Google auto filled it, I was like, oh man, there's something crazy that happened at the Olympics. Oh no. This
has been baffling people for years. This date. But it's just to tell us that, he's old, he's lived longer than a normal man because he's some sort of, I don't know, like amalgamation of many men to put together.
Yeah. And we're also assuming that was his originally. They could be hand-me-downs. He got them at a thrift shop. You don't know.
Yeah, it could be grandpa's. Old country. So Herman's training. He's reading a book called Method Wrestling. Mm-hmm. and then he starts mean mugging in the mirror. He's like, rah, rah, rah. And then guess what happens to the mirror? It breaks. This is the 4th episode in 8 in which the mirror breaks from Herman staring in it.
He looked at it for a bit and had to make faces for a bit and then stopped. And that's when it broke. Is when he stopped making the faces, which I found very weird because the end of the time he does it, he just barely glares at it and like the thing cracks.
They needed to get that mugging in there. That's all. Mm-hmm. And then so Igor the Bat slowly flies by. Very slowly. Wings barely moving. He's more of a glide. And Herman's like, Igor, go away. Can't you see I'm busy here? And then boom, it's not Igor, it's Grandpa. He's like, I had to come check out what you were doing. And Herman's like, Grandpa, don't you know that curiosity killed the bat? And then he says, but satisfaction brought him back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's how that line goes, but
nope.
I was like, oh, okay.
Kind of catchy. I like it.
So, sure. Yep. So Grandpa is like, well, fuck this. This is my lab. I gotta go check out what's going on down there.
Yeah.
And 2, Grandpa discovers this wrestling. He's like, oh, and then immediately Grandpa thinks 1, it's hilarious, and he goes, you won't even draw flies. And then Herman, because he's a Frankenstein monster, which is technically created by a bunch of dead. He's dead body parts. He says, oh, I'm sure I will. And he tugs at his shirt with a concerned look on his face because he stinks because he's dead. He must smell terrible.
He's dead. Plus he's sweating from working out.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. That's the worst.
So first Grandpa thought it was hilarious. Now Grandpa's mad. He's like, you're lowering the Munster dignity. And then so Herman's, no, I'm just doing this so he can go to college. And then Grandpa, quick change again, says, well, I won't tell anyone. That's very noble of you. So Herman says he's got to get in shape. He's due in the arena tonight. 2 episodes ago, he's too fat to wear a uniform. This episode, he's got to get in shape. He's got to be a wrestler.
And once again, he's being shamed.
He's
Either way.
always getting shamed. Always. So Herman gets out a rowing machine and sends himself flying into the wall, crashing into a table. And he's like, I gotta quit. I don't want to overtrain.
Did anybody else think that like Grandpa was immediately going to run upstairs and tell everybody?
I kind of wish he would have.
No, Grandpa's a schemer. I think he was down for the scheme.
Okay.
Yeah, he likes to be in on things, I think.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Definitely. From the first episode. Why am I not invited to this party? To now. I'm part of an exclusive wrestling club.
Mm-hmm.
We are at the arena. People on the sidewalk, sign Duke Ramsey. Duke in quotes, Ramsey. I'm assuming his first name is not really Duke. Presents the masked in quotes, Marvel versus Tarzan in quotes, McGurk.
Tarzan McGurk.
I'm like, all right, Tarzan McGurk, masked Marvel, sounds good. Packed house, the featured match on the All-Star Wrestling. And in this corner, 270 pounds, standing 6'4", our local champion, Tarzan McGurk. People are nuts.
Fan favorite. They see him at the grocery store probably, and they just go nuts. They're like,
yeah, the man doesn't have to
dude.
buy a meal. He gets a free $5 steak everywhere he goes.
Mm-hmm.
Then in this corner, standing at weighing in at 387 pounds, standing at 7'3". When the guy's like, "Whoa, 7'3". Looks up and there he is.
Says that, out loud.
The masked Marvel, and people boo. And then
Poor Herman, but
and the referee is Tiger Joe Mars, and I'm assuming Tiger was in quotes, or maybe Joe was. Who knows?
Yeah.
People are booing. And then Herman, they beat in the center of the ring, and Herman's like, "Pleased to meet you. How do you do?" The other guy goes, "Huh?" Then the match starts.
Isn't Herman's mask like horrifying? I think that thing is so creepy.
He almost looks like from Watchmen, Hooded Justice.
Hooded Justice, yeah.
I also thought it looked a little bit like, isn't it a little bit like what the Zodiac Killer mask, like the drawing, like of what people thought that it looked like was
Probably
something weird like that.
It's the drawing of Minion Nightmare. Actually,
yeah, he looks like he's about a guy who's about to like a medieval hangman guy.
Oh yeah, the guy that runs the gallows. He's executioner style.
Mm-hmm.
So the match starts, and then we cut to the Munsters are all in the living room watching wrestling. First time we've seen this happen.
Yeah, this is like so like almost feels too normal for the Munsters.
The whole family watching wrestling, but Herman's not there. Eddie says it's his favorite, and he likes the Tarzan guy. He says he's neat. He always plays the good guy. And now everybody rags on the masked Marvel.
Everybody.
Marilyn's concerned because he's so much bigger. The masked Marvel, and the masked Marvel is like kicking butt, right? He comes out and he's just like kicking ass.
He is. He's doing good, surprisingly.
But the Munsters, they don't like him. He's a big bully.
Maybe it's instinctual that they just want to put.
They just hate him.
They sense something Herman-esque about him.
So
they all want Tarzan to win.
Which actually also it does seem a little weird because normally they do like that opposite thing where like, and so you would think they'd be like, oh, look at this, the Tarzan guy is just preening around, blah blah blah. Let's go, Masked Marvel. Like that's kind of what you would think.
Yeah.
Did you notice that Eddie's got a Wolfman toy in his hand?
He does.
Yeah, I think we've seen that a couple times.
Oh, really?
I think Lily is fixing it one time for him, and then gives it to him. I think it's called Wolfie, actually.
Okay.
So they're watching the wrestling. They want Tarzan to win. Then Tarzan does win. And it was the match of the century. Yeah, Lily can't understand how they even let a big bully like that into the ring. Grandpa can't believe McGurk won. And Eddie goes, I think I know why. I think the bad guy was supposed to win, but the masked guy is so dumb. He forgot he was the bad guy and let the good guy win.
This seems so personal. Like this feels like such a blatant insult. Like they did not need the scene, but then Eddie's like, I know why. It's because he's a big dumb idiot. That
this guy is
do nothing.
Dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Now let me just say, I laughed out loud at that because of the show where we're always like, Herman is an idiot.
He is a damn idiot.
And so when Eddie said that, I actually it's the best laugh I think I've had in the entire series so far. Because of the fact that we always refer to him as that, and now Eddie's even like, yeah, they're right. those three podcasters are very much right. He's an idiot.
Yep.
It's like we already got that they hated this masked Marvel, but then Eddie's got to just put the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a loser.
He's just so dumb.
Yes.
So Grandpa says he isn't feeling well, so he's going to go for a ride and pick up Herman from work. And Lily wants just a little hint as to what kind of work Herman is in. And Grandpa can't tell. But he goes, I could tell you that the boy is sure starting at the bottom. Right? Which got to laugh. Now, hold on. Let's take this whole scene into perspective. The family, minus their 7'3", 387-pound father with a flat head, are all watching wrestling, where they're watching fan favorite, the local champion Tarzan McGurk, fight a 387-pound, 7'3" masked Marvel with a flat head. Right? Huh. They're like, where is he at? And today is Herman's first night of work at his night job. Nothing fishy here. We're all idiots. Eddie he thrives in this stupid. They're all stupid, and he's like, but game recognizes game. He's so dumb. He knows that guy's even dumber. And lo and behold, that man is going to be, you'll find out, is the head of the household. But that's neither here nor there. Because then we cut to Grandpa and Herman in the locker room. Grandpa's pissed. He doesn't get it.
He is mad.
He's mad. He's like, I haven't seen such a dive since I was forced down by a vulture over Transylvania.
What does that mean?
I'm assuming when he was a bat, a vulture.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was assuming too. Is like a vulture just did like a dive down at him and try taking him out. Maybe it wasn't even a bat. It's just like the vulture went after him because he's dead.
He's dead.
He had a dive. Yeah, that's possible too. Or he's just around corpses the whole time.
It sounds like it. He digs one up whenever it's a rainy day.
So Herman's like, I couldn't help myself because every time I got him down, Tarzan kept talking to him. He's got 4 kids and his wife's sisters living with him, and he's sending money to his sick grandmother in Ireland for medical expenses. And Grandpa's like, well, what kind of medical expenses? She's so poor, she's buying $9 of moldy bread every week and making her own penicillin. $9 at that time would be a lot of bread.
That's
right? A lot of bread. And
Herman's moldy bread. That's probably discounted.
Yeah. Herman didn't throw the fight. He just couldn't fight after hearing his troubles.
Yeah.
Grandpa reminds him of his own troubles with Eddie's education. And then Grandpa's like, you gotta climb into that ring, not as Herman Munster, but as every proud father fighting for his little boy. And he's got this very inspirational speech here.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, you gotta remember what you're doing it for, blah, 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 blah. And he tells Herman, the next bum that gets in that ring, kick him in the teeth. It's like, wow. Grandpa, he must have had money riding on Herman or something.
For someone who, was like, how could you shame the family name like this? And all of a sudden is like,
he's really into wrestling.
Take this seriously. Yeah. How could
and he knows a lot about wrestling. We'll find out that later.
Yeah.
$9 in 1864 is $81.20 these days.
So imagine
that's a lot of bread.
Yep. So imagine even $1.50, $2 a loaf. Right? That's 40 loaves of moldy bread at manufacturer suggested retail price. So discounted bread, which moldy bread would be, you're getting like hundreds of loaves to make penicillin. That's good.
That can't be easy either.
No. So now the family is at the breakfast table, which it would not be an episode of the Munsters if they were not. Eddie says, gee, Pop, you should have been here. They watch wrestling on TV. And it's like, yeah, we watched this giant behemoth of a man wrestle, just like you. He didn't really say that, but he might as well have. And Lily is talking about the bully Masked Marvel, and Eddie is talking shit about Masked Marvel, and he's an idiot.
They call him a big dope coward, I believe.
Yeah, a big dope coward. A bully and a big dope coward. Marilyn's, I've never seen anything like it. And Eddie says Herman should have been there to see that big dope coward. Yeah. And Grandpa says, how could he be here? Grandpa's covering up. How could he be here? He's working on his new job, which totally is not 100% wrestling. something unrelated that happens for roughly 1 to 2 hours on the night of wrestling, during wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
something else that
Nice
makes
save, Grandpa.
$200 to $300.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good. You definitely, yeah. They were catching on. You saved them, Grandpa, for
Good
clearing that up
save.
for us. Yeah.
And Herman's like, well, I can't be in 2 places at once anymore because he's a Frankenstein's monster made up of various body parts.
That's right. I almost forgot.
So
Yeah.
can't do it anymore. I'm all one cohesive being made up of several different people's
Oh
body
my
parts.
gosh.
So Lily, she's been looking at colleges, Freddie. So previously she's like, we don't need to worry about college. Now she's doing research and she's got a list of schools and she wants to go over with Herman. Herman's like, whoa, pump the brakes, old lady. Let's see how this new job goes first, right? And Grandpa is like, yeah, one thing at a time. He says the old saying, no sense in putting the hearse before the horse.
Yep.
And he's very proud of this line. I paused to type it down, and he had this very, very proud look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
But it also brings up a point. I think previously I thought they couldn't say the word hearse,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
right? Because they bought that hot rod and the other car that Grandpa's been dying for, and blah blah blah. But they wouldn't say hearse.
Mm-hmm.
But they said hearse this time. And last time they wouldn't say parlor, like funeral parlor. They just said parlor.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's like some like censors limits for how many like dead references you can make.
It's like a context thing, maybe the way
Yeah,
you say
maybe.
it. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The fact that either Grandpa's already dead or Herman was a Frankenstein monster, they quickly exceed their references to people being dead very quickly in the show.
Maybe you can only either one or the other say the word hearse or show a hearse.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, that sounds like something the censorship board would have a weird arbitrary rule about.
Yep. So then we are back at the arena, the masked in air quotes, Marvel versus the killer in quotes, thankfully, Conklin. And then Herman has the killer wrapped up, and the killer tells Herman if he loses this match, his kid will have to drop out of medical school. And Herman's like, oh, good heavens, man. Why didn't you tell me? So, like, Herman is so shocked. He's like, oh, God, bless it. I cannot rob the world of another doctor because all the doctors I know are super intelligent, amazing people.
Yeah, they kept me in 6 different jars.
Well, or they're blind as a bat and dumb as hell.
Oh,
So Herman's like, gets up, killer wins. At the arena again, the masked in quotes Marvel versus the Crusher in quotes Wanowski. And Herman has the Crusher wrapped up in the ropes and he's choking him.
Yeah, this is a brutal move that he's using on him.
I love this excuse because Herman's a goddamn idiot. Crusher goes, if they repossess my sister's banjo, she'll be kicked out of the Boston Symphony.
Yes.
Herman's like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And the Crusher wins. Herman is so stupid. So the word is getting around that just tell Herman the dumbest sob story ever and you win.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
does that mean there's a bonus of some sort if you win? So that
Yes.
like Herman's whole thing is to make money here, and he's doing this to make quick cash for Eddie's college fund, but he's passing up a lot of dollars by not not actually winning these matches.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
what
he's
is
not
this?
getting
$200 or $300. 2 to
Yeah.
wrestle, 3 to win.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Still not a bad deal, honestly.
No.
Just keep losing.
So then we get this one, and the sign was different because the masked Marvel was not in quotes; it was like in a box. Versus this is my favorite name, Genghis Khan,
I did like that. That was good.
and Herman's got him locked up. He's like getting ready to tap, and he goes, "I gotta get my kid brother plane fare to Africa. Albert Schweitzer needs him." Keith,
Yeah. You got anything for that? I
Albert
didn't know what that
Schweitzer?
was.
you didn't look this up?
No, I actually missed that line.
Oh Jesus! Oh, no, now I gotta
Guess we'll never
Google.
know.
He's a German theologian.
Yep. Thanks to the Google autocomplete,
Yeah,
I got that.
Ludwig Philipp Albert Schweitzer,
Austrian,
theologian,
German,
organist, musicologist, writer, humanitarian philosopher, and physician.
I guess
Wow.
he must have been in Africa at the time.
Won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Died shortly after this episode would have aired, like within the year after.
Mhm.
Oh.
whatever. So Albert Schweitzer needs him. I figured you would looked it up. So Herman just goes, oh, he stands up and then instantly loses.
Yes.
Like, there's nothing to it.
He's not good at transitioning like the fight, like, you know, the I don't know, like the tilt of the fight to slowly all of a sudden the other guy gets the hand. Herman just like stands up, is like, all right,
like,
come on, get up.
Dear God, man, why didn't you tell me?
Doesn't look natural at all, like
No.
in the idea of a fight, like a performance. It's just like, all right, I'll get up and just let you go for free.
So now we see backstage and Duke, in air quotes, Ramsey, and his lackey comes up and he's like, when are you going to dump this Munster guy? He's lost 8 in a row. Even the crowd's getting tired of booing him. And Ramsey's like, I got one more trick up my sleeve, another gimmick. We're going to offer $50 a minute to anyone that can stay in the ring with the Masked Marvel. Just like amateur out of the whatever. So then we cut to another backstage. New people, never seen him before. This guy is named the Strangler, I guess. He's confused. I'm like, I'll get what I gotta do. And the manager, we've never seen before, says, you saw the sign, $50 a minute for the amateur. Tonight you walk up like any schnook from the audience and toss him around for 25 minutes. And before I said schnook, I had to Google to make sure it wasn't a slur. It isn't.
Very well could be.
Yep.
Sounds like
never
one.
know. It just means a rube.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So the Strangler is worried. Isn't he kind of big? And the manager wants to know how he handled all the other guys. So he lists off all these other people. And he's like, you put sleeping pills in their drinking water. I'm like, Jesus.
That's pretty brutal. Yeah.
So tonight, I do the same thing to the Masked Marvel. He's going to dump a whole bottle of sleeping pills in his drinking water. When I have in parentheses, attempted murder.
Yes, he's going to kill Herman.
Yeah. These are sleeping pills, man.
But little as you know, Herman's just already dead.
Well, he's already dead. He's a Frankenstein monster. I'm like, well, these won't affect Herman at all. He's got the heart of a champion that was actually in another man who was a champion. So anyway, the Strangler goes, you sure are a smart fellow, Mr. Hansen. So now we know this guy's name is Mr. Hansen. This other guy is Strangler. But then Strangler's like, isn't this dishonest? And he goes, $50 a minute. Well, $50 a minute makes anything not dishonest, right? It's like, we're going to make like $3,000. I was like, you sure are smart again. I'm like, oh my God. This is like, this guy, he doesn't look like a schnook, right? He looks like a wrestler, but he's going to be a schnook. Cut back to the Munsters and they're in their house. Well, minus Herman and Grandpa this time. And Eddie's going to turn wrestling. Lily, it's like, I can't take any more of that Masked Marvel. No more. Marilyn calls him a bully and a coward. Eddie wants to watch because it's amateur night, and Eddie thinks the big dope might actually win this time. So Herman is in the ring with a Strangler for $50 a minute. They announced that all the rules of the fight here. $50 a minute for everybody to stay in those string with the Masked Marvel. And so they cut back to the Munsters, and Eddie hopes Grandpa gets back in time to see it. And then Lily's like, wait, isn't that Grandpa there? Because he's ringside.
Yeah.
He's in the crowd smoking a cigar.
VIP.
The woman next to him, like, looks at him and is like, ugh. Like,
she looks
really
very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Very uncomfortable. Like, he might have said something like, can I touch you or something like that? And
try to bite her arm.
Yeah.
It was very, like, something happened. And it didn't look like acting. Like Grandpa Al Lewis farted.
Oh, that's not what
lewd.
I wasn't thinking that.
I don't know what it was, but something happened before the camera was rolling. And she looked at him like, this is the worst job I've ever had. So anyway, Grandpa's there sitting, but he happens to be sitting next to Mr. Hansen. Coincidence? I think not. Lily didn't know that Grandpa was such a wrestling fan. So then we go back and the wrestling's going on. Stranglers beat up Herman. Grandpa tells Herman to hang in there. And the guy next to Grandpa, the Strangler, says something like, get him, Strangler.
Yeah. The guy who orchestrated this whole thing just ruined it. Yeah.
Everybody's so fucking stupid in this show. It's remarkable.
Yeah, not a very good mastermind. If the whole idea is to trick everyone, this was his plan, and then he just goes,
Yeah.
and just reveals it.
Mhm.
Yes, the heat of the moment, wrestling, you can get kind of energetic, I guess, but
Yeah.
He probably also didn't know he was sitting next to like a wrestling historian savant type guy sitting right next to him there.
Yeah.
that's
So-
true.
They're wrestling, and Herman's on the mat, and he's right by the ropes. And Grandpa gets up, and he tells Herman he's got to stay in there. He's like, "What kind of sob story did you tell him?" And Herman's like, "Oh, no sob story. I'm just so sleepy, I can't stand up." And then the strangler starts biting Herman's leg,
Yes.
and Herman's complaining, "Ow, stop it. Ow, ow, ow."
Yeah.
And for the first time in 8 weeks, because he's lost 8 consecutive matches, of Herman being on television wrestling, he says something audibly into a microphone, and Lily goes, "Doesn't that sound like Herman?" And then they all realize it is Herman.
It all
Like they
makes sense
never
now.
pieced it together
Mhm.
until this moment of sleeping pilled Herman getting his leg bitten by a professional wrestler that this is Herman.
Yep. They finally put the final piece of the puzzle together.
I love this because then Lily is pissed, and she says, and I wrote this down because I thought it was so fucking stupid. "This must be the night work he's been doing." No shit. No shit. It's the whole show. You didn't need to explain this.
That's what the
This
whole
did
episode has
not
been
clear
about.
it up for anyone.
Yes,
There is
Yeah.
not a single person that was watching this and then goes, "Oh yeah, he said he's doing night work."
Yeah, this is
No.
not like they're not trying to hide that Herman is undisguised. Like that could have been a fun angle to do, as if they
No.
had like kind of tried to play that up. But no, we know the whole time, and like the clues are all there right away.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just
If
it's
anything, the giant flat-headed masked man should have been the giveaway,
yeah,
but it wasn't. So now, Eddie, who previously thought that the masked Marvel was possibly the dumbest man on earth, and Marilyn, who said he was a cowardly dope, are now cheering on Herman, right? They're like, "Oh, go,
Oh,
Herman."
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute. We hated this man until he realized he was one of our own. So the guy next to Grandpa then is just spilling it all. "Go get him, Strangler. The pills are working. We've got it made."
this guy's dumb.
This
Yeah,
guy is straight up saying, and then he calls him like Murphy, right? And
Mhm.
Grandpa hears it and is upset. He's like, "Wait, Strangler Murphy, the same Strangler Murphy, was suspended in Chicago for bringing tire chains into the ring." So Grandpa, like, he is a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
He knows that some independent wrestling schmo, Strangler Murphy, Strangler in quotes, of course, was suspended in Chicago for bringing tire chains into the ring. And this guy's like, no. That's John Smith. That's who that is.
Yes, that's just
Grandpa's
So-
not having it.
Grandpa does not. He gets up and he says, "Hey, everyone, it's a frame up," which was an interesting. That's Strangler Murphy. This is a frame up, and the crowd starts booing, but then they go, "Nah." They just go back to cheering.
don't
They boo
care.
for a moment. They're like, "Well, that's a crazy old man with weird hair and he's blue," you know.
Yeah,
let's not
he's
listen
been
to
creeping
him.
us out, all of us around him. So
Yeah, they probably thought he was like a weird wrestler because if I saw that man in like real life, I assume he was a
Yeah.
wrestler.
got the
Manager.
costume.
I assume he was like
Manager.
the ringside guy who was going to come up and like throw like weird dust in the other guy's face or
Mhm.
something. A la
So-
Mr. Fuji.
Yes. So the Strangler has Herman in a fireman's carry. Impressive in its own right. Now, previously, the Strangler is like body slammed Herman. Like, this is not some schnook. This is a guy who is a wrestler.
I like the fact that like you're like, let me Google. All right, it's not a slur. You're probably using schnook all the time now.
Yeah. I really hope it's not a slur. What didn't come up as a slur. Didn't
This
say
is Derek's in the middle of a meeting. Look,
Oh, well, see, now you got me all nervous. Is
It might be good just to double check. I don't think it
a
is.
slur?
Derek, what do you think about that proposal that so and so gave us? He is a schnook, and I don't like it.
No, I see nothing about schnook being a slur.
Perfect.
Okay. Phew. I'm feeling good.
Urban Dictionary says.
Yeah. No, Schnook means to shit in a cup and lay it on fire. And
Yep.
I don't even get it.
It could mean anything.
Two girls, one schnook. Huh?
Yes. Okay. So
Alright.
this guy is no schnook, right? He has Herman on his shoulders and a fireman carrying. He's just spinning. He's just spinning him. So Grandpa's standing up, and Lily wonders what Grandpa's up to. What is he up to? And Eddie says, "You better do it quick." And Grandpa says, "You want to play games? I'll show you how to play games. Abracadabra, AC-dosi, Alakazam, and Bella Lugosi." I know who Bella Lugosi is. Keith, AC-dosi?
I think he's just making words rhyme.
Yeah. I did like the Bela Lugosi reference. That's fun.
And then the lights go out, and then it come back on, and then they switch spots. I didn't notice it at first, but Herman now had the strangler in the fireman's carry and spinning around. But there's smoke, right? The lights go out, they come back on, smoke, roles reversed. The lackey comes up instantly to Mr. Ramsey. "Boss, we got to stop the fight." And Ramsey's like, "Hell no, this is the best fight ever." And the lackey's like, "Hey, there's a fire broke out in the storage room out back." So
Like, what? Really?
It
Where did
just
this come
happened.
from?
And then he says, "Al and the boys are trying to put it out." And Ramsey says, "This is the best attraction we've ever had. Close the fire door. That ought to hold the fire back until the fight is over."
There's no setup to this fire at all. It's just random.
That happened, and he said, "Just close the fire door; it'll hold it back." And I'm sitting in the living room by myself. And I'm like, "What? Like, let's just trap all these people in here. This is
Yes.
the greatest fight ever.
This is like,
Who cares
I mean,
about the fire going on back there? We'll just let them all die. We have the greatest event we've ever had."
this is like somebody pulling a gun in the club and people getting trampled on the way out. That's all I could think of was that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a disaster in progress.
Oh, man.
And then
Yeah,
Grandpa
no setup
yells,
for it
"Bombs
at
away,
all.
Herman." And so Herman flings the strangler towards the ropes, and then the ropes and the corner posts all come down. Weird. And then the strangler's leg on the ground, all tangled up in the ropes and the posts. And then Herman wins. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Ramsey comes up and says, "Munster, we got a little fire out back."
Didn't sound like a little fire.
Yeah. You got to make an announcement to clear out the arena. He's like, "I'll try." Now, as soon as that happened, I'm like, he's going to take off his mask. So what does Herman do? He takes off his mask and tells everyone to leave. Now, this is crazy because he takes off his mask. People see the 7'3" flat-headed masked man is really a Frankenstein's monster.
Mhm.
Hair stands up, hair blows back, glasses break. All the classic I just saw Herman Munster things.
The glasses was a cool effect though, because I think we complained was it last episode or a couple episodes ago where it like wobbles and like the earpieces like go flying.
Yeah, and they look like they're made of fondant.
Mhm.
These just look like broken glasses. You could see the frame cut, and you're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Glasses are broken.
Yeah.
And then everyone clears the fuck out. You hear just footsteps, and then Herman looks around. Everyone's gone, and he's very pleased. He goes, "Was that quick enough for you, Mr. Ramsey?" And there's like a light echo to it. "Mr. Ramsey, Mr. Ramsey." Everyone's gone. Herman cleared out the place. Herman is the hero. So then we cut back to breakfast scene number 2. Everyone is eating breakfast. And I'm like, oh, and then I saw on the timeline, well, this is the end. I know it's going to be good. So they're eating breakfast. Grandpa's reading the paper. The headline is "Mystery Wrestler Averts Panic." And then there's a sub-headline, $1,000 award to fire hero. And he's reading, "Newcomer Herman Munster persuaded a capacity crowd to evacuate in 5 seconds flat, avoiding catastrophe when fire broke out." And then the fire chief awarded Herman the annual $1,000 fire safety award for his heroic action.
Is this a thing? Is this
Did
an
they
actual
also
thing they do?
fine the other guy who was just like, just close the fire
I
door
don't
and
know.
hold it off?
Like an unrelated headline on the next page: "Wrestling League shut down and fire scandal."
Yeah. massive drugging ring going on in the wrestling.
Yeah, man arrested for attempted murder for drugging Frankenstein's monster. And Herman's like, I don't really remember much of it because I was so groggy. I guess in the emergency, I must have said the right thing. And then Eddie pops out of the cupboard and is like, you really clobbered that other wrestler, Pop. You're the bravest guy in the whole world. He spent a long time calling him a cowardly dope.
Yep, he did.
Now he's the bravest guy in the whole world. And Herman thanks him, but he says he did it for you. I did it for you, Eddie. And that $1,000 is going into the vault as the beginning of his college fund. Gee, Pop, you're swell. Beat. Toss me up in the air again, will you? And Herman's like, all righty. Up we go. And he throws Eddie through the ceiling again. And shit comes falling down. But Eddie does not come back. And you're like, okay. And Lily goes, don't worry, Herman. Have your hotcakes. He'll be down before breakfast is over. Herman goes to eat his breakfast, but there's some ceiling shit on his plate, and he tosses over his shoulder. Mm-hmm. Credits.
By the way, I don't think there was any pancakes actually on the plate once he moved that thing out of the way. That was Grandpa probably like got him to move again.
Yeah, he snuck him over to his side.
Well, what kind of joke is, don't worry, Herman. Have your hotcakes. He'll be down before breakfast is over.
Did he like send him into orbit? Like, yeah.
I don't know. He just never came down.
What if he's, is he in
Eddie's
space
2 towns over. He threw him like a quarter mile into the sky and he just at an angle.
That's a pretty impressive feat of strength. Like, I'm surprised Herman didn't accidentally like punch a hole in somebody during this wrestling match.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of restraint. He felt bad for him. They had sob stories.
Herman could have literally gone in and like ripped off their limbs.
He could have, yeah.
He's lifting cars and bending steel. He could rip off a man's arm and beat him with it. No problem.
Why did they have him like show up in the ring with like a giant piece of metal, like, you know, actually bend one like right there in the ring, like just to like show off his strength overall.
That's why they hired him. That's a new gimmick. That's what the guy said. He was super excited about that.
Or like you get the guy in the corner and like bend the corner post around him or something.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. All right.
Well, he did throw him hard enough to have all the ring posts fall down. So
in the most impractical way, right? You'd think with that force that ripped it, he would have just kept flying and pulled everything with him, as opposed to bouncing back and then everything collapsing on him. Yep. It wouldn't be an implosion; it'd be an explosion. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm not a Herman Munster.
Yeah.
You're not a Frankenstein's monster.
I'm not a Frankenstein's monster or a count. All right, guys, that was season 1, episode 8, Herman the Great. Based upon the original description, Herman becomes a wrestler in order to gain some extra money for Eddie's future education. What'd you guys think? Did it live up to it?
I'll be honest. I like a good wrestling storyline, but
I knew you were going to say something about this. It tugs at my heartstrings.
No, I didn't enjoy this one all that much.
You didn't.
I liked the research part up front where I was able to
You're
find
a man
out about,
of cameos. You like the guest stars.
I do. I like the references to like, you know, the Swedish Angel and stuff, but I don't like. It's kind of a boring like episode when it comes down to it for like the wrestling stuff because it's just like, I mean, he's a big dude, so he's just doing like a bear hug and stuff. Andre the Giant's crazy, but like in old, you know, Andre the Giant at the end, all he basically do is bear hug somebody and like avoid getting slammed. And so it's not the most exciting wrestling to see, and basically the same thing here until he finds out that, you know, it's a frame up, and then he can go ahead and like, you know, beat somebody down. But outside of the thing about like close the fire door and trap everyone in here, the rest of the episode for me was kind of just like, oh, okay,
yeah, like
this might have been the one I enjoyed the least so far.
Wow. I might be there with you. What do you think, Terry?
You know, despite the amount of, I feel like, crap we were all giving this episode, I had a kind of a good time with it. It was fine. It was fun. Felt like kind of just like a classic Munsters-y thing. Sure, it's all got all the same flaws a lot of these other episodes have had. You know, jokes that don't go anywhere, or weird, like, it feels like they're just trying to buy time for the length of the episode. But It was all right. I didn't mind it. I think it's up there in my upper echelon so far, but I mean, is that saying much? I don't know. It certainly never reached the highs of Baby Frankenstein toy thing, or I think last episode was way better too, but
Yeah.
it was okay. I didn't
Last
mind. I thought it
episode was way
fun.
better with Herman hamming it up on stage. And,
Yeah.
and the premise of a robot, a sentient being robot created by Eddie. Like those things I think are ridiculous and make the show okay.
Yeah.
This episode, when I read Herman becomes a wrestler, I'm like, this is gonna be the best episode ever. It has to be. They didn't lean into the ridiculousness of wrestling at all.
No.
No, they didn't. No.
Everybody in the show, everybody in this episode